Greenland. The United States must have a plan for invading Greenland. American troops are deployed to Greenland in March of 1941, before the United States entered the Second World War, to secure Greenland against German use as a German U-boat base. They operated with the approval of the local Greenland authorities. Denmark was then under Nazi occupation, so the Danish government was surely not displeased. And during the Cold War, there were always war games about, well, what if the Soviets made a move on northern Greenland? So there must be these plans now. What happens if you tell an American officer, I want to carry out a military attack on the territory of a NATO ally? Do they raise an eyebrow, or do they just do it?
I think, you finally got into a scenario that is so crystal clear, and maybe, years of teaching military officers has made me too optimistic. I have to think that there are, even at lower levels, there are going to be officers who are going to say, I'm not doing that. I'm not.
Because they understand a treaty is a law.
Well, and also they've trained with these guys.
Yeah.
As you pointed out, look, we had plans during the Cold War. Yeah, the GU gap. Remember the Greenland, Iceland, UK gap. This was going to be where the Soviets were going to come pouring through.
Or northern Norway. That was another.
Right. We were worried about having to secure Iceland, Greenland, and Norway, rather than let that fall. In fact, the Tom Clancy book, Red Storm Rising, right? Big attack on Keflavik, right? Iceland becomes like the pivot, upon which the world turns, but it wasn't that dumb an idea, because that's a really strategically important place. But the idea that somehow the government of Denmark would say, thank you for your invitation to join Greenland, we have declined it. And the president says, seize all these cities, and, small though they are, seize these bases, put the military. There are going to be military guys. I've had Danes in my class, Danish officers, sitting in my classroom. I mean, you're going to tell Americans, hey, that captain that you trained with, you're going to have to blow them out of the water if they approach. I just think that I want to believe that an attack on a NATO ally would spark an internal revolt within the United States and the U.S. military. I want to believe that. Will it happen? It depends on how many people are watching TV at any given moment, I guess.
I'll leave you with this thought. Secretary of Treasury Bessent recently gave an interview, I think, on one of the financial channels, where he talked about the American strategy on dealing with China. And he said, we're going to mobilize our allies to work with us. Mobilize our what? Our what? You don't have very many. There's El Salvador. There's maybe Israel. There's maybe Russia. Everybody else is waiting for the United States to attack them.
Yeah.
It's dismal.
Well, we're getting to the point, I hate to say that I used to take pride. This is, so much of this has been humbling for an Atlanticist and an American exceptionalist like you, like me. It's humbling to say, I used to take pride in the fact that the Russians had no friends in the world and the Americans had plenty, right? Part of the reason Russia was always even after the Soviet Union, Russia was always in the mess it was in, because they don't have friends. They have clients. It's all very transactional. We're becoming that. We're becoming this kind of friendless, powerful state that just has clients rather. I mean, I kept a NATO flag in my office because I felt like this was not just an alliance of convenience. I felt like this was a fraternity of free and democratic nations committed to an idea that they were willing to die for. And this president, and I still think, David, I want to believe it. I still believe that when this man leaves office, if he leaves office, that we can come back to that. We can recover our senses. But right now, the president, and this is a problem for civil military relations, the president is saying, we don't really have any friends. You have me, I'm the commander. And if I tell you to attack somebody to whom we are bound by history and treaty, you're going to do it anyway. Remember when he was asked about torture and in the first election, and he said, well, if I tell the generals to do it, they'll do it. Yeah. Well, the military pushed back and said, we won't do that. And I think to this day, he didn't like that answer.